Okay, I think we should talk about some fan pressure now. Mai is a really interestingly balanced character because they've given her things that would be strengths for other characters but kind of end up being weaknesses for her. Like having all these weird buttons that advance her forwards like infinitely would normally be like super strong and weird, but for Mai, a character that like doesn't have much safe normals and really wants to space out, safe specials, it kind of makes it hard for her to like space out her things when everything moves her forwards. And a similar thing applies to her trying to get fan Oki. Not only are the fans slightly weak projectiles, but you know, they're slow and they need a little bit of time to travel. But a lot of the ways that she likes to end her combos are gonna leave you like quite close to the opponent. The DP probably leaves you the furthest away, but this leaves you pretty close to the opponent. This certainly leaves you very close to the opponent, so a lot of the time, if the opponent isn't backrolling, that is, it's not that easy to set up your fan pressure. So what are the main ways that we can set up our fan pressure? Well, one of really the best ones is actually from this target combo. So if we ever get our back heavy kick, we can either use it like confirm it on its own, or we can end a combo in this if we really want to get the fan pressure. But this one's so good. You can see if I cancel into a light fan, just the regular version, it's very, very advantage, and I can dash in or drive rush in behind it. Very, very strong. Or I can actually do the held heavy version, which will also hit very, very meaty, and you get that, you know, little bit cooler extension. I think if I do the light version here, there is a little bit of a chance of the opponent to jump back or backdash or anything, so I would suggest doing the heavy version because it just travels a little bit faster and will catch them. And then, you know, once they block that first bit, the world's your oyster on how you want to go for your pressure. So that's one really, really good way. It's probably the default main way they designed her to go into her fans. Now, the next ways are kind of just depending on your opponent's defensive options. So off of my regular combos, if I do something like this, I can go into a light fan and it is advantageous. But this is just relying on the fact that I know my opponent's DP won't hit me if they potentially DP. In Ryu's case, I think I am actually safe to do this, luckily. But if someone has a really forward advancing level 1, they'll be able to hit you. Like, for example, Ed. Did I say level 1? I mean, DP. And just keep in mind that even though level 1s usually don't go through projectiles, they will go through Mai's projectiles, so you have to be the right space. So, if I do end my combo in this, a lot of the time I can throw out a light projectile for a little bit of gimmicky pressure, but if I go for my DP, the same thing applies, except I have a little bit more space. So this time I'm basically guaranteed to be able to throw out the light projectile and be safe, because not many DPs reach from this range. And that also means that I have a little bit of liberty to go for something a little bit gimmickier and go for the charged projectile. Because the opponent's that far away, even if I hold it down and they can easily react to it, there's not much they're going to be able to do from that distance, except for potentially DI. So do just be careful. You do want to make sure you're not doing the super slow version in ranges that you know you'll die from. Another option, not super great, but a forward throw is plus 21 versus her back throw, which is only plus 17. So you can't really get much off of this, but I guess if you get this, just go for a heavy fan. And it's not super meaty, but it's as meaty as you're able to get. Now, all of this kind of applies the same with your OD fan. There's nothing super guaranteed going into it, but at least you can get a faster version of the pop-up projectile. So for any of the ones that we did where you didn't have time to get the charged version, you can do the OD and get like a meaty version of the bouncing projectile. So that applies for after like these situations, and possibly also after your throw. But just keep in mind that if you really want to go for your throw charged projectile, this is probably the best way to go for it after this target combo, and every other way is either gimmicky or slightly unsafe, because let's just try with a drive impact and see. I haven't tried it for every version, but I think if I go for something like this, if I go for the light projectile, totally safe, totally normal, you know, I would be able to be plus after that projectile, but if I try to be greedy and go for something like this, oh! I eat my words! I eat my words! So even going for the heavy charge projectile here, I have plenty of time to block and react with my own drive impact. So, as long as the opponent doesn't have a really far-reaching, like level 1 or level 2, then that actually is a pretty good setup. Anytime I enter the DP, I can go for a charged heavy projectile or a regular light projectile, and, you know, as long as I don't have an exceptional reversal, that seems like a pretty good way of going for Oki. Let's see if the same thing applies to this, because I am a little bit closer. Of course, the light one works totally well. And I suppose, frame data-wise, that should mean that— oh, okay, no, maybe we're too close there. Nope, if you time it correctly, drive impact does not beat it, so that is pretty damn cool. I thought they would for sure be slow enough. So, as long as your opponent doesn't have really great super reversals, I guess the world's your oyster, throw as many banners as you like. Fan pressure is on point. Anyways, thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.